Why should we spend money on NASA when we already have so many problems here on Earth? If somebody asked you this question, how would you answer? It's been nearly 5 years since I left, but I came back to NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory today to help answer this tough question. But before I even get to the 5 reasons I think we should spend money on NASA, I need to clear one thing up. What percentage of the US budget do you think goes to NASA? According to polls, most Americans think it's 20%. So it should come as no surprise.
Wait, he asked a really good question there. So before we look into NASA's budget, how much is the US budget? Let's explore that, shall we? So according to fiscal data, the US government has spent over $6.7 trillion in 2024. And then what does the fiscal year mean? A fiscal year is a 12-month period that organizations or governments use for accounting and financial purposes. It is different periods than what me and you are used to, counting years from January 1st to December 31st. In government, a fiscal year is counted from October 1st to September 30th.
So it should come as no surprise that 1 in 4 Americans think that NASA's budget should be reduced. If you say the total budget represents $1 or 100 pennies, the truth is,
I can't believe they still have pennies in the US. Canada had discontinued pennies like in 2013, so it's been a while. But anyways, the US still has pennies. That's pretty interesting to me.
NASA gets less than 1/2 of 1 penny.
Okay, so that's about 0.5%.
Comparison, 16% goes to the military and 60% goes to social programs like Social Security, unemployment, Medicare, and healthcare.
So if the NASA budget is about 24 billion, over 24 billion currently based on the US budget, which is just over $6.7 trillion, NASA gets about 0.4% of that.
Okay, so with that as our foundation, let me give you 5 incredible things we get in return for that 0.5%, or less than $9 a year for most Americans.
All right, Mark, let's see what are the 5 things. Okay, number 1, improve life on Earth.
Just like some might ask, why should we spend time exploring space when we have so many problems here on Earth? Some of our ancestors probably asked, why should we waste time trying to figure out agriculture when we have so much work to do hunting and gathering? Or, why should we spend so much time messing around in boats when we have so many issues here on the land? And the answer to all 3 of these questions is the same. Reaching for new heights often creates new solutions and opportunities for people back.
Also, opportunity for human beings to advance. Human beings are very curious individuals, and they're always wanting to discover new things. So it's like in our DNA.
On the ground. And I have some personal experience with this concept. As most of you guys know by now, I spent 7 of my 9 years here at NASA working on the Curiosity rover. In fact, some of my hardware is still working like a champ on the top deck of the rover, albeit a little dirtier since I touched it last. But for my last 2 years here, I worked on a much lesser known project called SMAP, and in some ways...
Now, Mark is a really smart guy. On this video, if we go back, this guy, he looks like he's in his 20s, but when I looked him up, he's actually 44 years of age currently. So it's amazing how much experience he has.
My last 2 years here, I worked on a much lesser known project called SMAP, and in some ways, I'm more proud of what it represents, because SMAP is a super complex Earth orbiting satellite. Here's how it works. Once it's in orbit, the antenna boom is deployed, and then this 20-foot gold mesh reflector origamis out like one of those Hoberman sphere toys. And then the whole thing starts freaking spinning at 15 RPM. And it's using a radiometer that can...
Wait, I want to see if there is like a live launch of a SMAP satellite. Okay, I did a little bit of a digging. We found the Delta II SMAP launch highlights. Let's take a look at this. There's a spaceship. Oh, that looks massive.
Disco. Alien.
Wait, what the heck is that?
SMD is go.
Wait a minute, what the hell is that? Okay, if anybody knows what this is, leave a comment in the chat, because I'm curious to know what this is, because he releases that into the air, and there's one more in the background too, so there's a couple of them there.
Let's go. ALM copies. The NASA team is ready for SMAP launch.
5,
There we go.
4, 3, 2, 1. Start and liftoff of the Delta II rocket with SMAP.
Okay, so that's the... Oh, there it
And
is.
spacecraft separation. Good
That's a
spacecraft
SMAP.
separation.
And it's using a radiometer that can see through the clouds to measure the soil moisture levels on Earth. This is important because soil moisture is one of the key vital signs of the planet. By measuring the moisture levels in the soil, it allows you to predict droughts, monitor floods, and even predict crop yields for a given year. And because the antenna spins around like that, you're able to measure all the soil on Earth every 2 to 3 days.
All right, here's number 2.
This is a fancy way of saying we should be doing everything within our power to make sure that nothing catastrophically bad happens to us. Hollywood got this right when they said that a large asteroid impact would be really bad news. Now the chances of this happening are small.
Iris Summer, if Earth stays the same way it is now, meaning that nothing crazy happens, that human beings can survive for the next 7 billion years.
Potential consequences are so large, just ask these guys, it makes sense to take it seriously. NASA has already put an asteroid early warning detection system in place, and in October 2022, for the first time ever, they will test ramming a spacecraft into an asteroid to see if you can deflect it off course with a mission called DART. But perhaps an even bigger threat to humans are humans.
All right. Offshoot technology.
America's first satellite was built here at JPL, and now satellites make it so we can get GPS driving directions on our phone or get TV beamed down to us from space.
When was the first satellite launched into space? Let's find that out. Explorer 1 overview. Explorer 1 was the first satellite launched by the United States when it was sent into space January 31st, 1958.
Of the $18 billion that NASA gets, it's not like they're just putting that money on a rocket
So it was 18 billion at the time, now it's 24 billion approximately.
and launching it into space. The majority of that money goes towards the salaries of tens of thousands of some of America's most skilled workers.
I have to know, how much do astronauts make for their salary? Okay, I'm a little bit surprised because I thought they definitely make way more. But for example, a NASA astronaut here who has a GS level license, they make about $75,000 per year. And if they're more experienced, meaning GS13 level, they can earn up to $100,000 or more per year.
Final reason why we should spend money on NASA, even when we still have unsolved problems here on Earth, is perhaps the most important, even if less concrete.
All right, Mark, it is exploration and imagination, of course. That is a good thing actually for human beings to explore.
I think it's captured best by what some call the most important picture ever taken. What you see here is the result of a 10-day exposure image.
Oh yeah, I know what he's talking about. This was a crazy discovery. What they did was they aimed the camera at a very dark spot of the universe. And then they could see what it looked like it was stars. But then they made a discovery that they were not stars, they were actually galaxies. It was wild.
From the Hubble Deep Space Telescope, with the exception of these 3 dots, which are single stars, every speck, smudge, and spiral you see in this image is a galaxy with hundreds of billions of stars, just like our own Milky Way galaxy. We send men to the moon, and orbiters to Saturn, and rovers to Mars, not necessarily because there's some financial incentive.
The moon trip is a little bit hazy in my opinion, because why and how did you lose the equipment that you used, like the technology I'm talking about, right? I'm not gonna say I don't believe that they went to the moon, but what do you think? Did they make it to the moon or not? You let me know in the comments.
Or some quick payoff we're looking to exploit. But because as humans, there are fundamental burning questions we yearn to answer. The first person to set foot on Mars is alive right now. They could be in junior high or high school. He or she could be watching this video right now. It could be you.
That is true. There is a plan to get to Mars, and SpaceX is also doing it. Elon Musk is planning it, and we talk about it all the time.
I feel that our continued exploration of space in all its forms fills me with hope and inspires me to reach higher and makes me a better person.
Mark is a really nice guy. I really enjoyed watching his video, and he has tons of other content that are incredible. For example, here's one of them.